Hi, I'm Steve Myers, candidate for mayor of Baton Rouge. Welcome to today's Myers Message. Today we're going to talk about the UDC and Future BR. That's the Unified Development Code and Future BR. It's the start of a series of messages under the general topic of private property rights, because both of these documents definitely affect your private property rights. Specifically, the UDC, or the Unified Development Code, is a compilation of various ordinances that affect your private property from a number of different perspectives, but what we'll talk about is how it affects what you can build and how you can use your property. Future BR, on the other hand, is what is often called the next generation of the older Horizon Plan. It's a name many of the older people will recognize, but maybe not some of our younger viewers. It's a planning document intended to guide the way you can use your private property for the next 30 years. It's important to know that Future BR is not the law, and that is stated right there in the document itself. It's a comprehensive plan. That's Future BR is a statement of policy and is therefore not a regulatory document. On the other hand, the UDC is the law. So Future BR is intended to influence the changes in the Unified Development Code. It is a statement of policy. The goals and the policies will directly guide the regulatory system in the future. So the implementation of Future BR is extremely important to property owners, because each element of Future EBR could result in dozens, hundreds of changes in the Unified Development Code. So we need to be aware as citizens of what the impact of this document is on our private property rights. Now, the city parish spent about $2 million in tax money on this document. Unfortunately, you cannot get a printed copy. They do have it online, and we're going to provide the link below for you to go and review it. It is hundreds of pages and contains about a dozen sections, and the index tells you some of the areas: land use elements, urban design and neighborhood element, transportation element, economic development, housing, parks and recreation, conservation and environment, public service, infrastructure, and of course the strategic implementation. It's got a map that essentially tells you how every piece of land in Baton Rouge will be used for the next 30 years. Now, this is the government telling you what's going to happen, so don't say down the line that you didn't know. The document again tells you how neighborhoods may change or how they may not change. Essentially, it will control every aspect of private property into the future. On one hand, it's a beautiful document. It reads very well, and it's got a great vision. On the other hand, it's a dangerous document, because if citizens do not get involved at this stage and in the strategic implementation phase, then the mayor or council people are going to be sensitive not to your private property rights, but to the pitchfork and spear crowd that goes down and lobbies for their special interests. So this is in some ways an attack on private property. In some way, it's simply a way to control private property. One example, there's some signs all through the South Downs and University Gardens and maybe Garden District area saying stop development, support Future EBR. That is a misinterpretation of Future EBR. It does not stop development. It tries to control it in a sensible way. The fact of the matter, and the hypocrisy, is that these signs actually violate Future EBR in the current UDC, because they're placed by people who have not gotten zoning permits, which are required under the current UDC. So this is going to be pretty much a knockdown, drag-out fact in the future, but what we can end up with, I think, is a better Baton Rouge. And we'll end up with areas like the Garden District, which are an eclectic mix of houses and duplexes, fourplexes, and garage apartments. And those areas will be protected but also improved. The Garden District was recently named one of the top 10 neighborhoods in the United States, and it was founded before there was any social planning or central planning by the government, before there was a UDC, and before there was a Horizon Plan or a Future EBR. So we all know that pretty much in Baton Rouge, if you're a large developer, you basically get what you want. You're going to ultimately win. But if you're a mom and pop or a small person with a rent house, you want to tear down a dilapidated house and maybe build a house with a garage apartment or a duplex, we know that you get all kinds of problems from the downtown crowd. The fact is that all laws passed by the government infringe on a lot of your constitutional rights, but there is a line and there is a balance, and that's what we need to be aware of. So I would like for you to do today as a follow-up is to go to the links below. One of them is to the Unified Development Code to see what the law currently is. The other is to Future BR to tell you what the vision and the plan for the future is. And chew that stuff up and come back tomorrow as we continue the series on private property rights and the Unified Development Code.